Hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to Generation X Nation. Let's go. Let's get it. We're going to do a real quick review of Love and Marriage Huntsville, and we're going to throw Belle Collective in at the end because there wasn't a lot going on there other than Selena getting to the bottom of the rumor about her and Michael and alleged baby on the way. So let's get started. First of all, I want to thank everybody who has liked, subscribed, left a comment. I always get back to you. My apologies for me not putting videos out enough. Sometimes I get a little busy or overwhelmed and I don't have time to sit down and actually watch the shows and take my notes and do the videos, but I am going to get better at that. Also, it was a young lady who left a comment. She said, she likes my hot topics. So I am going to get better at putting out more hot topics. But I like to put out stuff that I find interesting to me. Everybody puts out the hot topics about the same people, from, I don't know, Blueface to Clarissa to, the housewives. I mean, it's the same stuff. I mean, different take, but seem like all content creators, use the same, I won't say use, give their opinion on the same hot topics. So I try to find things that are a little bit more interesting that people aren't talking about as much. So I do have some church mess because I love me a good church mess. So I will be doing a video later on about some church mess I done found out there on social media. Now, before we get started, as always, thank you once again to all of my new subscribers. Anybody who has liked my channel, share the channel, hit the notification bell. You know what I'm saying? Leave a comment. Give a sister a break. All right. Now I've been pushing and pushing and pushing almost to my goal. And when I reach my goal, you may be a little surprise out there. You never know. All right. So with that being said, we're going to get started with Love and Marriage Huntsville. As always, my disclaimers. I do my commentary week to week. That's it. I don't have a dog in this fight. My commentary is based on what I see on the screen, and that's what I comment on. I know shows are edited. I get that. We don't see all of what actually happened. They have to cut it down to a certain amount of minutes to give us something to watch on TV. We get that. And trust and believe me, the castmates on those shows will let you know it was more to that scene. That scene lasted 5 hours. They only gave you 5 minutes. Hey, you volunteered for this. So don't come to us crying when we get in your behind about certain things. All right. Now, let's talk Love and Marriage Huntsville. The crew, Maurice, Marceau, Letitia, and Kimmy are sitting at walking down the streets of Pontiac, Michigan, and they're going to their favorite. It looks like ice. What do you call it? Snow machine. You know, the icy thing. They're going to one of their little favorite stands and slushy stands or whatever, and sitting down and having a conversation. And Maurice and Marceau is getting nostalgic, talking about how they used to walk down the street and they used to go there and eat the slushies and get the brain freeze and everything else. Now, the ladies did bring up to them about their dad and saying, hey, I think your dad is feeling some type of way. You guys act like, kind of didn't acknowledge them. Now, Maurice and Marceau say, hey, we love our dad. We respect our dad. However, we came here for Uncle Rick, to support his cause. And they was like, yeah, we get that, but your dad feels a little left out. Can you show the man some love? For some reason, it didn't quite tick in their brain what Letitia and Kimmy was trying to say. And even I'm sitting there like, maybe it's a man thing, but do you get what she's saying? She's saying, y'all, just like I said last week, it seems to me y'all are worshiping Uncle Rick. And it's like, hey, Dad, oh, Uncle Rick, I can't believe this and that. And there could be some jealousy there. And we find out later on that it is. So once the ladies break down what they were trying to say, the guys finally get it and they decide, you know what, you're right. We need to talk to our dad and let him know that we do care. And that happens a lot. I think their reasoning was dad wasn't around. Dad was a provider, but he wasn't present. Dad went to work, put food on the table, made sure we had lights, but he didn't pour into us. And that happened a lot back then with men like that. I grew up with a father like that. My father wasn't lovey dovey, but his ideal of love was you got something to eat, the electricity is on, you got heat. That's love to them. They didn't go and just hug and, show their feelings emotionally. Guys that grew up back then, that's, that's kind of how they function. It was a little harder. As time went on, parents realized you gotta, show your children more genuine love and affection and spend quality time with them. And I think that's what they were saying. My dad didn't go out and throw a football with me. Maybe he didn't go to the games because he was busy, and not thinking, like their dad said, I was 26-year-old with 8 children. I don't know how he got 26 with 8 children. He must have got married right at 17, 18 or something. Okay, because that's a lot of kids for a 26-year-old. You was pumping them out every year. That's all I'm saying. But back then you did have larger families, so I can completely understand what was going on there. So I think the guys got what the ladies was saying, and at the end they said, "Hey, my dad was my superhero." And they're telling him, them, the guys will tell him that because he don't know that. And I completely understand that because as a child, I didn't get it. But as an adult, I'm like, God, my dad sacrificed a lot for us. And I didn't really realize it till I got older, look back on what he had to do. You have your own family and see how you raise your family and what you have to do and sacrifice. And you realize, God, if my dad had 7 children and he had to go through all of this for us, and I just had one, Lord have mercy. That had to been hard. So I'm glad they took that information in. Now, um, I think their father did have some regrets because he didn't feel his sons love on him the way they were loving on Rick when he came in, Uncle Rick when he came in. And I think that really hurt him. And it made him feel like the sons didn't appreciate everything he did for them. So at the end of the day, I'm so happy that Marceau and Maurice in that moment realized, hey, we do need to pour into our dad because I don't think he understands how much we love and respect him. And maybe they just never said it to him. I don't know. But I'm glad that they caught on to what the ladies were saying. And sometimes it has to come from opposite side, a female point of view, because men don't move on emotions like we do. But we seen the hurt in their father's eyes. Last week I seen it. I was looking like, oh, their father's hurt. And it's like they didn't pick that up. That was just weird to me. But I understand and I'm glad they're going to do better. Ken and Trisha, can you get them off of my TV screen ASAP? I am sick of them. And I'm just going to be honest. Either y'all going to be together or you're not going to be together. But this back and forth for how many seasons now? Just like the rest of your castmates is saying, it is getting old. We're tired of it. There's Trish sitting there saying, "Oh, how did the therapy go?" Ken is back home for a little while working on the car, and then it goes to the DM thing. Oh, well, Tisha said you was in some girl's DM. And Ken didn't lie, said, yeah, I was. Apparently, he was bored. You wasn't reaching out to him. You already admitted in the therapy session that y'all hadn't spoken in 3 months, and he was in an apartment by himself. What do you think he was gonna be doing, Trish? I mean, my God. And then you're sitting there like, you can't believe it. He met you in the DM when you was married to Marquez. He said, I didn't do anything. I didn't go that far. Ken, it don't matter. You were entertaining. And once you get lonely enough, entertaining go into actually meeting up, having conversations, just like you did with Trish. So Trish sees what you're doing and it reminds her, hey, that's how he got me. Ken, get out the DMs. If y'all gonna work, work. If not, give us a break. Because we as viewers are getting sick of it. And we'll let you know when we get tired of a storyline in a heartbeat. All right. Moving on, because I am so uh Ken and Trish is really getting on my nerves. And again, I don't know them personally. I'm just saying the way they edit you on the show, it's just not likable, okay? And then Trish tells him, oh, I apologize. That's the first. So all this time y'all been together, she ain't never apologized to you. Ken, I don't know what needs to be told in your brain that Trish loves you, but she's not in love with you. Because if she was in love with you, she'd apologize to you at least once. All these arguments y'all done had, and you had to be the one who be humble yourself to come back to Trish and apologize. She ain't never apologized to you, like she ain't never been wrong, and you still hanging around there. I am so over you, Ken. I don't know. Ken said, I'm out of town. You don't check up on me. You don't call me. I'm gone for long periods of time. What are you looking for, Ken? Let us know. Trish, Ken is a beautiful chocolate man with muscles. who is willing to take care of a woman and her family. And for you to think women ain't going to be in his DMs, something is definitely wrong with you. You better treat that man right, because all it's going to take is one fatal night. Ask Martell. Anyway, I just thought that was just, it just feels like to me, Ken, something is, again, everything on my channel is alleged in my opinion and for entertainment purposes, alleged in my opinion and for entertainment purposes. But I feel in my spirit, y'all know when I feel it in my spirit, it's usually true. Ken is lacking something from his childhood. I don't know if he came from a broken home or maybe his dad wasn't there or his mom wasn't right, but something that was not right in his childhood that he's trying to duplicate in his relationship with Trish. So whatever family that he dreamed of or wanted that maybe he didn't get as a child, he wants to do it now as an adult. And that's why he's pushing so hard for this to work. Because Trish is his dream girl and that's his dream family for whatever reason. That's what I feel in my spirit, allegedly. But we'll hopefully one day they'll dig down to find out who Ken really is. But I don't know if the show will be on next season or not. But we need to find out what makes Ken tick to the point that he would accept this disrespect from this lady. That's all I'm saying. Now, Ken goes to, what is his name? Maurice and Marceau gets to, I'm sorry, Maurice and Marceau meets up with their father and they have a discussion with him. And they tell him they are proud of him. They would not be the men they are today without him. And when I tell you my spirit and my heart just fluttered a little bit and I almost got a little teary-eyed because that was the most emotional scene I ever seen out of them two. But it wasn't so much for them two. It was the satisfaction and the look in their father's eyes that made me almost want to cry because he seemed so emotional that his sons actually finally did what he always wanted them to do, is acknowledge him. And I think in that moment they realized the girls was right. That's all he wanted from us. So thank you guys. Because all of us seen it last week. I don't know why y'all didn't see it. We all seen all your dad wanted was some acknowledgement from his two sons that he is so proud of. That was a good scene. Marceau, Maurice, that was a good scene. Now, you know, sometimes I don't give Maurice much credit, but that was a good scene. It was very, very emotional. All right, Martell, Ken, and Willie and Will. Them three together talking about women, like I said in my last video, is a no-no. Y'all ain't got no business talking about no women whatsoever, okay? But I will say this. When Martell walked in Will's barbershop and seen the bumfoolery sitting up in there and a stripper pole and all those uh I don't know skulls and stuff, he said, "Hey, I was gonna bring my son here. I ain't bringing him here. Oh my God." He said, "Matter of fact, this is the last time I'm coming here." I'm going to say this allegedly. It's only one barber chair there. That place is more than a barber shop. And he said, "Oh, I do private parties there." What kind of parties you do, Will? Because we've already discovered you a little freaky. We've already discovered you a little offsetting. I'm trying to figure out what kind of parties Will do in that place. And I can only imagine the freak parties he have up in there. Maybe he's posing it as a barbershop and it might just be one of those, you know, those little clubs you go into and look in rooms and different people doing stuff and you take your pick. That's what my mind is thinking, allegedly, when I see that place. And he said, "Oh, we rent it out for private parties." What kind of parties? Who want this to be the backdrop of their parties? That's all I'm saying. Anyway, it was team too much in that barbershop. Martell is talking to Ken, and once again, Martell is saying, "I don't know why Ken keep letting Trish lie to him." Martell, how do you know Trish is lying? Okay, but nah, I kind of agree with Martell. Trish is not always forthcoming with the truth when it comes to Ken. Well, I won't say truth. She holds a lot back. So Martell is like, "Oh, here she go again." And then here come Will with his 2 cents. "Well, were you in the DM? Well, if you in the DM, then you could be entertaining some. Ain't that how you met Trish?" You know, Will is reminding Ken, that is exactly how you got Trish. You went into her DM while she was married, post something nice, like your workout, you motivate me, and then it led to there. to the next level, and now they're together. So Will is telling Ken, this is how you and Trish start out. So why are you entertaining these women? Because y'all gonna find something in common, just like you and Trish, and then you gonna be entertaining them like you entertain Trish. Will was not right, wrong about that. Ken know it too. Ken might entertain somebody, but the T was when Martell said, when Ken said, well, Tisha telling Trisha that I'm in people's DMs, and Martell eyes lit up. Tisha, Marceau, Tisha, I know she ain't talking the, and he spilling the tea again. Marceau up in people's DMs too, allegedly. The way Martell was talking, so I know she ain't talking. Again, Tisha, stay out of people's business. Martell said it right. I don't agree with Martell all the time. He had them tight ass pants on. But I don't agree with Martell all the time. But he was right. There you go again in somebody else's business, but don't want nobody in your business. And you're part of the reason, a good part of the reason that they split up. That him and his ex split up. You contributed to that. Because at that table, she was the one that brought up the cheating rumors. Now Martell ended it with the pregnancy thing, but Tisha stayed in their business. So he right. And Martell, I don't give you a lot of credit, but in that conversation, he was right. But those three men ain't got no business giving anybody advice on a relationship. The only advice they should be given is what not to do in a relationship. That's all I'm saying. Now, Destiny and the Scotts got together back in Pontiac, Michigan, and Maurice finally said what everybody was thinking. Destiny, you are not transparent. And I said that. I'm so happy Destiny found her family. I'm so happy she found her mom, her siblings. They were able to reunite. I'm happy the Scott brothers got to close a chapter in their life with their dad to let them know that they do love and respect him. Destiny, your story is so amazing. And I don't care if y'all like Destiny or not, but she has a great story that should have been told 3, 4 seasons ago. Because when you talking, I'm starting to see more of you, and I'm liking you more than I like Tisha. And honestly, I did not like Destiny. And I like Tisha. I thought Tisha had it in her to try to be a better person. But as these seasons go on, Tisha just be turning into a mean girl that used to be Destiny, and Destiny's be turning into somebody who's tolerable. So I'm glad she was able to get that out. But who knew she was a Jehovah Witness? Who knew any of this? Destiny, if you've been focused on your own stuff, instead of your old castmate stuff, you would have came off such more likable on this show. I feel like a lot of y'all missed the mark because y'all had so much to say about other people and not about yourselves. Y'all had so many great stories about your families that y'all didn't tell. That's what's crazy to me. And right now, the show is on a life support. And these things could have been out a long time ago that would have kept the show interesting to us instead of watching y'all bully one castmate. Just my opinion. All right. But I'm happy that happened. Destiny said one thing that summed everything up for me when she said she was so hurt and angry that she was blocking everything and she couldn't feel love. And that made so much sense as to why she was so nasty and angry and disrespectful. And like Marceau said, aggressive toward people all that time. But she was playing victim, like, oh, I didn't do anything. Oh, they did this. Oh, that's their fault. Having her mental Mondays and talking, and she would sit there and just talk about one castmate all the time. And all along, you had to fix yourself. You had mother issues. You had mommy issues. You had all of these windows and walls and everything blocking yourself from letting people be genuine to you. So when your castmate was genuine to you and trying to be a friend and helping you out, you didn't know how to handle that and you blew that. And I just felt like, God, that was such a good relationship that you threw away, and now you're trying to rebuild. So just my opinion. Um, Then Martell sits down with Maurice and he starts spilling the tea. He's talking about, yeah, I met up with Will and Ken, and they said Tisha telling Trisha about Ken being in the DMs, and Trisha ain't doing nothing but lying. He just feeling Maurice, well, all the tea, and Maurice sitting there like, what? And I know Maurice is thinking, shoot, I'm glad my name didn't pop up in anything, you know. But for some reason, if you notice, Marceau and Martell don't film together that much. I noticed that. So I think they still kind of on the outs. But Maurice is willing to film with him. So at least he gets somebody to film with. Because I haven't seen him film with Fletcher. I didn't see the Fletchers this whole episode. You know, they didn't block them out. And I think the Fletchers, once again, I continue to say that's an interesting family. They have a lot to say, but they got blocked out. Anyway, Marceau and I'm sorry, Maurice and Martell is sitting there talking, and then he starts talking about the restaurant project that Marceau is working on, that's not working on, and Kimmy's upset. And see, this is how fake Kimmy is, because the whole time she keep keying around Letitia and Maurice and Marceau all up in Pontiac, Mission, whatever, and you secretly pissed off at Marceau for not getting your restaurant off. Because remember, a couple seasons ago, she found a little spot, she was gonna make a little bistro, and that stuff still ain't done yet. And they must be reading the comments or listen to you to the YouTubers, because we've always said, show us a finished project. And this is a side note. If you notice, Letitia is always on Instagram showing finished projects now. Marceau is talking about finished projects. They finally showing us the stuff we've been asking. But we should have seen this 2 or 3 seasons ago, because I think these things would have saved the show. Destiny's family dynamics, the Scott's family dynamics in Michigan, showing us new buildings and new offices. That could have saved the show seasons ago. I know it's a grabs to try to pull us back in, and I still watch, but pull the other audience back in. I don't know if it's working. I don't really go and look at all the views and how many people, watch the show. I don't do all that. But hopefully it'll save the show. I don't know. But I've always said, show us a finished project. Marceau, I think, operates slower because they said he takes the bigger projects. He considered that small, but I think he operates slower because I think he does it the economic way. He doesn't hire as many people on the crew, so he saves more money in his own pocket. Because for the rest of us who live in regular smuggler cities, I could see a restaurant coming up, and within 3, 4 months, that restaurant is complete and it's coming up from the ground. You have a building that needs to just be gutted out and redone. It shouldn't take him no more than a few months to have that done. And y'all been working on this for a while. So yeah, I can understand why Maurice later on in the season and episodes go off on Marceau about not getting something done. Um, and with that being said, they kind of ended that basically gossiping about Trish and Ken and what Letitia said. So then we get to Ken and Marceau. And let me tell you, when they come up to Black and sit down and had a conversation, and they're talking about what's going on, and Marceau goes into his preacher mode and start giving advice. And I love that about Marceau. He is giving him advice. You take a broken glass and put it back together, still a broken glass. He's telling you Trish is broken and she needs to be fixed. And I believe in my heart of hearts, allegedly, Marceau don't even think Ken and Trisha should be together. And he's trying to tell Ken, move on. You can't fix her. Or at least let her fix herself and then come back to you. I think Ken is just too far gone and too far in love with Trish to even get that. All right. Then Ken said, well, Letitia, your wife, said I was telling Trish I was in somebody's DM. And when Marceau's face lit up, you would have thought that he told him Letitia had robbed him at gunpoint. Marceau looked like he wanted to go home and scold her like she was his child, like she deserved punishment or a whooping or something. He said, my teacher? She said, what? Oh, we don't do that. We don't do that. We don't do that. I'm like, Tisha, you about to get chewed. Marceau about to come home and whip you just like he whips. I mean, verbally, like he does a child. And I get it, because at the end of the day, Letitia, stay out of other people's marriages. Just like Martell said, and I agree with Martell on this. You don't want nobody in your marriage, but she's constantly in other people's shit. And even though Ken and Trish is not married, they're still together. They half live together. You know they've been dating for a while. Why are you in their stuff? As always. Now, if they come back to you and start bringing DMs from Marceau, because allegedly, according to Marceau's staying in women's DMs. And even Ken hinted to it when they were sitting down talking like, yeah, we ain't saying what Marceau be doing. I'm like, Marceau, you still out there in them streets? That's all I'm saying. However, Tisha, you are working our last nerves. You are an adult. You say you're a grown woman pushing near 40. Start acting like it. The childish behavior is getting played out. And we kind of tired of seeing it at this point. The way you behaved in Pontiac around the Scott's family is how we should see you all the time. You acted very mature. You were very vocal. You were giving advice. You were affectionate. You was concerned. And then you get back down here to Huntsville and act like you back in high school. And this is just crazy. And we see it on the episodes coming up where you and Destiny's arguing, pick a side and all this crap. And you still mad at Nell about stay out of my marriage. But then you in somebody's shit all the time. Excuse my language. Somebody's stuff all the time. Letitia, you need to check yourself. That's all I'm saying. And with that, it's gonna be interesting next week. They got a whole episode of Letitia going off with Destiny, Destiny checking Letitia and all of that stuff. It's crazy. But I will say this, Letitia Scott, come to the front. Stop writing checks your ass can't cash. Stay out of people's business because when they get in your business, you get all heated and pissed off. But it's okay for you to drop gems on their business. That's all we saying. Mind your business and they'll mind theirs. All right? Oh, and let's get into this Belle Collective so we can close this thing out. So, Belle Collective, the ladies are finishing up. They're sitting there having the discussion at the table, still trying to figure out how did this rumor get out about Michael having a baby. Selena said, I need to know. I need to get to the bottom of this. And this is what this episode is about. She is pissed because she is planning a wedding and y'all want to bring this crap up. So what's finally came out Letitia's mouth is there was a photo. Somebody made a comment about somebody in this photo has a baby. She said they knew it wasn't Glenn and they definitely knew it wasn't Cliff. So the only person other in that photo was Mike. And so they said it must be Mike. This photo was apparently taken a year ago. And Selena's like being detective. Selena was like CIS Miami on them. CSI Jackson. Okay. She said, okay, well, when was the photo taken? How long ago was that? Who said it first? Who brought it to the collective? Okay. And I'm like, well, go ahead, Selena. Selena said, what y'all not going to do is sit up in here and play me. We going to get to the bottom of this. And I tell you who the bottom of it is that Carrie. Carrie brought it up. Always look at the messenger. Carrie is messy. Is she needed for the show? I mean, I like her. I like Matt, her husband, but she's messy. Y'all got to keep an eye on Carrie. Carrie repeats everything. This ain't the first time Carrie done started some mess. And then she's always the one like, we gonna have a therapy session. Everybody come together and let's get it out. You the messiest Belle so far, Carrie. Everybody else is trying to work on their friendships, and here you go with the mess. And that's why Tambra said, and this is why I don't tell y'all crap, because of this right here. Everything is always messy. You don't know who said what. This person this said it. This person, that person said they said it. Latrice said, keep my husband out of it. She said, well, I heard it from Cliff. Well, Cliff overheard this and he told Mike. Well, if that's the case, and Mike was pillow talking with you, who told you to bring it to the collective? Selena said this was squashed a year ago. Why you bring it back up? Well, Marie said this. Well, if Marie and Letitia had a conversation about it at your house, you said, well, it was brought up at the thing, in Gulfport when they was at her house. Well, if they had a conversation about it and they dared the conversation and say, that's what I heard, but hey, that was a while ago, leave it at that. Why did you feel the need to bring it back up? You brought it up. Selena, the person who brings it to you is the one you need to keep the closest eye on because the rest of the Bells who may have heard the rumor, even if it was a year ago or mentioned it or talked about it, they didn't bring it to you because they knew it was BS, it was old, and they knew you were getting ready to get married. Carrie brought it up right in the mix of you planning a wedding. That's who you need to keep your eye on. Just my opinion, okay? I think Carrie is messy. Now, Letitia decides she wants to meet with Tambra. They haven't met and said in a while. She wants to see what's Tambra's take on the Bells and everything else. And she invites Shantae. Messy. I'm not a fan of Shantae. I don't know if Letitia is trying to make Shantae a Belle or force her on us, but we don't like her. Because when you come in the door a certain way, after we've established who we like in the Bells and, each person's personality and character. I love all the Bells, but they all different. Don't bring that messy Shantae in there. Shantae is bringing too much to me. She didn't ease her way in. She coming in there just bam, bam, bam. And again, all have history with Shantae, so y'all may know her better than we do, but it doesn't come off good. And I don't need to see her at no more Bell meetings. All right, Letitia, stop bringing her around. That's your friend, but I don't need to see her in the Bell meetings. Okay. So she came in there. She said, well, since y'all want to be transparent and we want to make sure everything is on the table, Shantae has something to say about Damon. And allegedly, Damon is just a sperm donor that they decide to have a baby together, but Tamara has a whole relationship with somebody else. She shows her the picture. Tamara starts laughing. That's a customer at the radio station, blah, blah, blah. Now, I'll admit, that Tamara leaves the scenes a lot. Now, she said the last time she left, she went to go see something with her daughter, but she ended up missing the event because of traffic. I admit Tamara isn't transparent, but Tamara's been a day one. Okay. And Letitia, I just felt you were out of place for that. Chantel is not a Belle. You should have left it alone. And the way she came with that tea, thought she had something, and the way Tamara laughed in her face, I'm like, that's how you do it because Chantel didn't get the reaction. Shantae, I'm calling her Chantel. Shantae didn't get the reaction she wanted from Tamara. I guess she wanted Tamara to be upset, and I'm looking to Tamara was like, "Girl, you crazy? Get up out of here with that mess." That's how you handle the BS when they come to you with the BST. Be a Tamara. Be a Tamara. She said, I ain't even worried about that. So Tamara said, okay, you want to be messy? I'm going to be messy. According to Amanda, you okay with what Glenn do, and you know everything that he does, and it's okay with you, and y'all want to do allegedly a threesome with Amanda, and Tisha's like, that's not true, whatever. I'm kind of believing not the threesome thing allegedly, but I'm kind of believing Letitia knows Glenn out there in the streets doing more than what she's letting on. And I ain't saying she's okay with it, but I can guarantee you she didn't caught Glenn more than once out of pocket and just swept it under the rug because Glenn would make a bold statement like that. But that was her way of one upping them. Now let's move on to Latrice and Cliff. Latrice and Cliff love them together. And you know, I ain't never been a big fan of Cliff, but in this last 2 seasons, Cliff has really worn me down. I'm starting to like Cliff. Cliff has changed his whole attitude, the way he treats his wife, the way he talks to her. They are such a wonderful, I mean, to me, they bond really well. And I know people look at their age difference. I don't care. That man has shown me that he cares about his wife, that he loves Latrice, definitely more so than Glenn. I ain't saying Glenn doesn't love Letitia, but the way Cliff treats Latrice, I love it. The way he's been treating her in these last couple of seasons is just wonderful. And she said, and the way Latrice stands down, 10 toes down for Cliff. She said, yeah, she told him what was going on with the baby rumor. And Cliff said, look, I'm out of that Belle crap. Keep my name out of it. I don't want nothing to do with it. My only job here is protect my wife. That's it. And I'm loving that because he's finally understanding, keep me out of the ladies stuff. And I think that whole issue that happened with Akia and so Gucci and the fight at Taste and all that, I think that may have been a wake up call for Cliff. Like, hey, we need to stay out of this women stuff because we got men fighting each other over what these women got going on. I think that was a wake up call because I think he, in a sense, may miss some of those friendships bonds that he had with those guys, and they're no longer on the show. So you can't allow the show to take away real friendship from you. And we see that a lot in reality TV. Now, with that being said, my prayers go out to Latrice because she is going through a lot of medical stuff, and she, had getting ready to have her surgery and all of that. And I know it's over by now, but may you continue to have good health, Latrice. You are a very intelligent, beautiful woman, and you haven't always been my favorite, and that's just the way they edit you. I don't know you personally, but as time going on, I'm starting to like you too. Okay. Now, Letitia and Marie, you know, uh, Letitia is the queen of the bell, so to say. So, and Marie is her sidekick. And I think they're trying to get their way back into being the queen of the bells again because they were falling a little bit off, off that little throne only because they had a lot of mess going on in their lives. But Latrice, I'm telling you, um, I'm liking her getting back to where she needs to be on the bells because she was supposed to be right next to Letitia. They both stand together. I have both of them equal. Um, Letitia, as far as the focus group, they had the focus group with a talk show, and I agree with the ladies. At the end of the day, it was just about you you when you started the show, it seemed like you were scripted. You wasn't like being yourself, loose. And I get that because I do that on the video sometime and I have to loosen up a little bit. The makeup was good, but like she said, the lighting was a little off. I love the outfit that Letitia had on though. That yellow she had on at the focus group, that's a good color on you, Letitia. You might need to wear yellow a little more often. But on the screen, make sure you get colors that really match your skin tone. But once Letitia Scott came on there, y'all sat down and started kikiing and stuff. You seemed a little bit more comfortable around her. But like Lonnie Love said, let her get her stuff out and then you respond, because at the end of the day, if you know somebody and you get to talking to them, sometimes you forget the cameras rolling and y'all just having conversation like y'all sitting at home on the couch somewhere. So you got to remember you're actually doing a talk show. So make sure that interaction is a little better. But outside of that, I think Letitia did good. And I think Letitia could possibly do a local talk show, even if it's, a 30-minute segment or something in the morning. She got the goods to do it. She got the goods to do it. And last but not least, after the focus group, everybody left and the Bells had their last sit down to figure out what is going on. Because CSI Jackson Selena said, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. Y'all going to figure this out, and I don't want to ever hear this again. And she basically told y'all, for y'all to come to me knowing I'm planning the wedding with this BS, that's out of line. That's out of pocket. And I am here for all of that. And just like Cliff said, hey, if there's a baby out there, it ain't like you can hide him. He gonna pop up either way. So dead that whole conversation, and wish they did. Um, and last but not least, I felt like once again, Shantae had no business being there because it was a Belle thing. And when Latrice said that, that was her shade to Shantae. She said, going forward, if we have anything going on amongst us, we bring it to the Bells. No outside noise. And then she's like, oh, am I outside noise? Yes, because you're not a Belle. And Letitia stopped trying to push her down our throat. We don't want her as a Belle. She could be a friend of, but we don't want her as a Belle. That's all we saying. Because you had good Bells. You had Akeisha there, who was a good Belle, doing business down in Jackson, rebuilding stuff. You had Soguchi, who was a decent Belle. She had her fitness business going on. Then you bring this messy Belle. No. Just like Amanda can't come up here trying to be no Belle with her mess, because you ain't want her talking about you and Glenn. They don't want Shantae up there talking about what's her name? Tamra. Let it go. Cut it. We don't need to see her. It's okay if she at the parties. Y'all having your own conversations, tease, whatever. But when you have your meetings with the Belle, we don't need to see her there. And she shouldn't have been at that meeting. You should have asked her to leave. That's all I'm saying. But it was a short meeting and they came to the conclusion that that's how they'll go forward. But when Selena was questioning everybody, if y'all notice, that's why I said, keep your eye on Carrie. When it started getting to the nitty gritty, and Marie said, Marie ain't said nothing. You a lie. I ain't said nothing. And Latrice said, my husband don't put this on my husband. My husband ain't got nothing to do with it. Carrie started getting cornered because Carrie was the one that brought it. And she started getting cornered. And then Carrie was like, and then she changed the conversation real quick. Well, going forward, then we're gonna I said, because like I said, Carrie was the one who brought them bones and started to stir up some bull crap. Okay. And then when Tamber brought in Shantae and said, well, Shantae came to me about A, B, C, and D, about Demond just being my friend. And I had a whole do it on the side, whatever, and made Shantae look stupid. Everybody's looked at her. And that's why I said, keep her out. If Amanda can't be in the Bells, then Shantae can't be in the Bells. All right, Letitia? Because you can't be mad at Latrice and y'all went through a whole season fighting each other because Amanda said this about Glenn and Amanda was in the DMs and you didn't tell me, you my friend. And then you bring Shantae up in here who started some mess with Tambra. And you try to act like, well, in the spirit of being open, no. She had no business being there. Period. All right. And with that being said, That is my collective recap of both shows, and I hope y'all enjoyed it. Now, I am going to do some hot topics later on, and it's going to be some church mess because I'm sick of church mess. And then I'm going on my TikTok channel, and I spend a lot of time on not a lot of time, but I do a lot of TikTok videos. That is all political. Now, you go over there in TikTok on my videos, you're going to see a whole different Gen X, okay? But I'm going to go over there and talk about that Mad King. I call him the Mad King. Outside of that, pray for our troops, pray for this country, pray for the oil price. This is the average family because it's hard out here. And I do this channel out of a hobby. I enjoy doing it. I'm going to bring more topics in and I'm going to take time to do more. Sometimes I don't do as many videos because it's so much going on in the world. I don't like oversaturating stuff. And you know what I'm saying? And sometimes, you see so much negativity that sometimes it spills into you. And I like my spirit to stay happy. So I don't talk about a lot of the negative stuff. I mean, I see the feeds with say the Christians and the Clarissas and I mean, I see what they're talking about right now with what's that child named the Chili from TLC and the Donald Trump thing. I may do a video on it. Nick Cannon. I hate black women. I hate black men. Sometimes that stuff just drains you. And I try to find a little bit more interesting stuff because I want to like try to give out more information to uplift the community. So when I put out videos about young women not behaving a certain way, I mean that because sometimes people just need to tell you this ain't it, sis, or this ain't it, bro, or do better. And I love church mess. So I got a video coming out with some church mess because church mess, I want to bring people back to the church. And what we're doing now and what I'm seeing, it's taking people away from the church. That's all I'm saying. We'll talk about that when I do my church mess video, and I may throw one other hot topic in there. But with that being said, y'all go ahead, like, subscribe, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, get me to my 500 people. Share, let people know I'm out here. Okay, I do the best I can on this stuff, and I like reality TV, but even that drains me sometimes. If you notice, I haven't done a lot of love and hip hop because it's the same shit. Who cheating? For a while it was the men cheating on you, having a side chick, having a baby. Now it's women cheating. Okay? You got what's that girl name? 24 and Selma cheating. You got Mendeezy and Yandy cheating. You got what's her name? Sierra, who marry a new man every two seasons, and now they cheating on each other. You got Carly Red going to court. She don't on her the third, fourth divorce, fifth, sixth engagement. It's like over and over the same crap. So, but this time is more women cheating in particular than the men. It's crazy. You got Scrappy every other season, new girlfriend, new baby mama. I mean, how much? Oh, and Lord forgive me, Ashley and Lil Zane. Good Lord. Ashley in everybody business and her life is screwed. Is that a deflection, Ashley? Ashley and Lil Zane is in everybody business and y'all shit is screwed up. Why do y'all deflect what other is that a deflection? And so nobody look at y'all stuff. You got a whole wife with her husband, ex-husband's last name and won't change your name and then say she wants to hyphen it because she wants a different name from her child. Sit down. You don't even raise your children from what I gathered. Allegedly, you say your kids live with their daddy. So why do you care what your last name is? I'm just saying. So that's why I don't do those things because I'm getting into commentating on it and I'm just over it. I may do a 3-minute wrap up of it just because. All right. And with that being said, subscribe, like. Thank you guys. I know the video goes long because I get to talking. But anyway, I hope there's clarity there. I hope y'all like my reviews. And you guys stay safe and you go out and have a nice day. Peace. And I'm out.